All right, howdy folks, Farmer Devin here. Just getting back for April days off 2026. March days off was pretty good, got quite a bit of stuff done. I was hoping to get a video in before I left just to show all the stuff we got done because we made some good progress. It was a busy and productive couple of weeks. We'll go over a little bit of it as I'm walking around here. I just wanted to do kind of a longer form walk around, checking out the property, seeing a little bit of our spring flush. Might be about as green as it gets all year. It's been pretty dry so far. We got some cool stuff going on. We're gonna try to knock out a whole bunch of stuff here over the next couple of weeks. I got a big project going on with the RO water system I want to get installed, get the gray water system hooked up and running, all that good stuff, and we're gonna get to gardening pretty seriously here soon. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on it. Start walking around and showing you what's what. So I'm here in the compost yard. I haven't done anything with this yet. And if everything goes well, this day's off, I'll be getting at least one paddock built in here and getting the hens moved out of the hot house where they're cooking and out into somewhere they can be a little cooler for the year. For now, they're doing okay in there. We're just gonna keep them well watered. But it's a little windy, so bear with me on the noise today, and we'll go ahead and waltz around this property and take a look at what we got going on. So while I'm walking past it here, this is our backyard, still recovering from when they had horses back here. See a shingle that blew off from some of the recent windstorms laying there. I gotta pick that up. We did get the roof fixed last days off. I'm not gonna climb up there and get any videos, but did get that done. Dog run. Some dog activity, as it were. So we'll have to top dress that, get some more carbon laid down. And got more cleanup to do over here this year. Not a high priority, probably won't happen this day's off, but does need to get done. I did get that fence way over there. I got that wire all pulled down and rolled up last days off. Did not start on this one yet. That's coming. We're not there yet. And then I'm hoping this day's off that I'll get that back fence tore out and moved over, but that might be a little ambitious. We'll see how that goes. I might at least get it tore down. But we walked around all of our junk and trash piles. I did start getting the irrigation system set up so that we can get things growing and get a mulch layer down. We're probably going to do plastic mulch again this year. This is a strawberry bed. And we do have some of our volunteer elms that popped up last year are coming back, so that's good. We got some free trees growing. I'm going to let those grow until they're big enough to transplant. And we do have a little bit of strawberry starting to pop up. There's a baby. Decent moisture in here from watering. Last days off, it's holding okay. It's down about an inch or two. But if I dig some out here, you can kind of see there is some decent moisture and soil texture down there, so that soil's doing its job. We'll get it topped off with a little more water here in another day or two, and then we'll see about getting some mulch on it. This is basically what we've done for our irrigation systems here. We have some black line that I laid down, drilled holes in roughly every foot or so, 1/8 inch or smaller. I don't even know the size of the drill bit, but it seemed about right. And hooked it up here to a swivel end for a hose, so we can just screw a hose on and run it for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time and top it off. This is our other garden area. I wanted to show this off, so this is all Rose is doing. I'm pretty proud of what she's doing with the place. I was thinking I was just gonna use this as another production area or whatever, but it wasn't a high priority item, so she beat me to it, and she used some of the rocks we had in place already, these big ones that my foot is on, and just started dry stacking some stone to form some beds. So she's got this little triangle bed here. We're going to try to get that thing pinned down so it quits blowing over. We got to add some more dirt to this, but I did get some irrigation into the log bed here, and that's all hooked up. And then she made a Mickey Mouse bed and a duck bed. So, see, we got to add a little bit more soil to the duck bed yet. But either way, pretty cute little garden area. I like it. So we'll get this topped off. Hey, get out of the garden. And then get the pathways mulched up, and this will be a nice little pretty area. I think if we decide that we like it, I might, over the next couple of years, build up this wall with some more stone and get a little higher. Of course, I'll have to reorient the rocks so it's, you know, done properly or whatever if I'm going to go a little higher. But might get that up to a good sitting height as stones. And then I am hoping to get a little bit of snow fence cut from up on the hill, since it's not holding up too well up there. Move it down here, give us a little more windbreak, and mostly leave this area open as a utility area. Let's walk this way a little bit, and then we'll go over into the garden. So she picked up a couple more chicks while I was out, and I've got to get them some water and some feed today, put down a little more bedding. But we've got little chickies hanging out. They're starting to get to the ugly stage where they've got a couple of feathers and a little bit of fuzz, but pretty active and healthy at this point. Haven't had any more losses. I think I might have mostly figured out my brooder issues by moving these lamps over into a clustered area. I don't know if I talked about that in a previous video or not, but if not, I'll try to make another video about all my brooder mistakes this spring. Glad I did it on the laying chicks instead of the ducks. It makes me feel a little better anyway. IRET is still running pretty good, as far as I know. So, probably be doing more with that this couple of weeks coming up. I did finally come onto one project I couldn't quite handle, so I might point it out when I get down there, but I got a chain link fence pulled off of my fence line, and it was just a little too heavy for this thing to drag. It is a pretty heavy fence. It's a decent chunk of it. It's probably a 100-foot roll or 75. So I found a limit. I'll have to use the truck or something like that to pull that up, but that won't be too hard. Probably end up using that as part of our chicken fencing. But anyway, just like the elm in the garden bed there, the rest of the elm is starting to leaf out. Got some leaves on these little guys, and you can kind of see some leaves starting to pop on the main tree itself. So this is the first little section of the tree that I pollarded a few years back now. Back when we still had sheep, I did this one in the summer so that I could feed it as tree hay. And I might have done this second section in the summer for tree hay as well. I don't really recall. I think by then I might have been doing it in the winter. But I did that section, I want to say last year, and you can see everything's growing straight and pretty tall already. And this section is what I did this year in the winter, and so it will be sprouting anew this year. Right now it looks pretty bare bones. There's not a whole lot going on, but it'll pop, and we'll have similar growth going on with that. And then next year I'll be cutting that first section again, start getting some knobs formed on everything. And don't mind the mess, of course. That's life. And we'll get stuff picked up as we need to and as we have time. Anyway, it's spring, right? So I wanted to show some fun stuff. Here is our currant bush, all flowered out. Nice pretty yellow flowers. I'm sure the bees are really going to enjoy these. You see there's quite a few of them. And this is just a native currant bush that was here. I'm imagining a bird probably landed and dropped some seed, and since it's in a relatively shady area, it managed to survive. And then I added this tree too. I'm trying to get it to grow relatively straight until it's above head height, just so it doesn't obstruct this pathway. But I'm going to keep it here and let it do its thing for a while. But yeah, currants are flowering. We do have mustards are getting near the end of their flowering stage. We've got that stuff that I call white phlox every year, and I always forget the name of it. It's not phlox, but it looks similar. That's flowering. We're starting to get some dandelions, so that's good for the bees. And I'm sure we'll be seeing quite a bit more over the next couple of months, especially as spring continues to spring. This tree, I think this year I'll be removing that tube from. In fact, I might do that this days off so that it has some time to harden up before the hard summer sun hits. But I did want to wait until it started getting some leaves. And then I got to do something different probably with this shade structure before we get into duck season. If not, I'll throw a tarp over the top and get by again, but I would like to do something different. We'll see how far we get. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and walk down into the garden area. I wanted to show, just so I have it, I don't know if I'll end up putting this on as a short, but this is my little solution for that problem we had with the wind blowing these things. So these are hefty steel frames with some galvanized sheeting basically tack welded to them. So they're pretty stout things, and the wind caught this top one and it threw it from here all the way down. Sorry if you can't see with that sun, but all the way down to that fence line way down there. Luckily nobody got hurt. It didn't continue on past our property, damage anybody else's property, but obviously a size of metal like this flying in the wind is substantially dangerous. So we needed to do something to stop that from happening again. What I did is I pounded in 3 T-posts here, and I just used some fence wire that I put on there relatively tight, not super tight, over the top of that just to hold it down. So if the wind were to try to catch it now, it's going to catch that wire and it won't be able to actually get enough momentum to blow away. And I'm going to be moving all of my fiberglass instead of doing all this stuff with the sticks and the stones. I'm going to be moving all that onto there as well and pretty much doing the same thing. I think I'll just throw another row of wire over the top of that when I get it moved, and that'll help clean up this freaking mess that I have going on over here as well. So that is something that'll probably be happening this days off. And I'll probably end up moving this at some point, possibly this summer. It might be another year or two. It's going to be pretty easy to move, obviously. Just pull some wire, pull some T-post, pound them in somewhere else. But eventually we'll need this space for more garden space. It's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm going to be doing stuff up there first this year, and then I might add a 4th bed just to get it marked out, but I'm not going to be down here yet for another couple of years. But let's get up into this garden area. So we've got a pretty substantial wind tunnel that comes through the house and the shed here, and it blows away a lot of our mulch. Blew a lot of the mulch off of the pathway there. We had that all mulched last fall. Landed over here on our bed that we had formed. Blew away a lot of our compost. So I put up these pallets here, just with a couple of T-posts and some nails, and I even used an old broom handle just to support this one a little bit more, and that'll help to reduce how much wind throws all this stuff around you. I mean, I left this out here for 2 weeks and it didn't blow away. Usually this would have tumbled down the hill by now, so I think it's probably doing its job there. And there's enough room on this side, well, not with that there, but I gotta move that anyway, as well as on this side, that we can fit that little IRAT through here and go down the pathway. So it's sufficiently wide enough, but blocks some of the wind, channels it a little bit just to protect this garden area that's pretty exposed on wind. So one of the things I have to do, I did get this irrigation line put in. I got to finish building this one and build another one down on this 3rd bed, and then I got to reform these 2 beds because the compost mostly blew away. And then we can start planting in those this year, and I'll probably do some squash or potatoes or something like that since it's new beds. But the goji berries here are coming up, starting to leaf out. I'm sure it won't be too long before they start to flower. I'll have to come in here and kind of try to straighten these a little bit just because I don't really like this one leaning over into the pathway too much. Goji berries do tend to like sprawl and have like a almost wild kind of growth habit to them. So this might not be the best location for them, but it's where we put them when we had the chance to put them in. And we'll just work with them. We'll trim them up if we need to. And if not, then, well, we will trim them up. But if it doesn't work for them, then they may perish, but I doubt it. I think they'll do just fine. Probably end up getting some more random trees this year. We'll find places for them and hopefully get the contour lines all mapped out this year so that we can actually start putting in trees in places that are smart instead of just plugging them in as we get them. Before I walk away, I just wanted to point out the other goji berries. Don't mind the wind. We've got a mess of some of the elm branches that I cut off this winter that I just put here as a temporary windbreak and snow catch. I may end up moving these out here in the next couple of weeks, but we do have 4 goji berries here. There's 1, there's 2 right there. 3 is growing right up in here. It's kind of hard to see on camera. And number 4 is right in here, but I'm trying to see where it's at. Well, somewhere in this mess of sticks. And so for that reason, we might end up moving these a little bit. But as these grow out, you know, they'll kind of sprawl and form a little better windbreak in this area as well. So that's kind of how they got put here. Anyway, let's go ahead and start walking down to the lower part of the property here. And I got irrigation systems put in for most of this. This is our rhubarb coming up. Good morning, rhubarb. He kind of woke up days off a couple weeks ago, back in March. But he hadn't quite broke leaf yet. It was kind of just budding out of the surface. So now he's got some leaves up. We've got garlic that's still just deciding to grow all over the garden. That's cool with me. I'd be all right with garlic just took over our whole property. You know, we'd figure it out. But we got some more soil in here. Got a new dog that likes to dig, so we got to break her of that habit. Hopefully when we get some plastic mulch down, though, that will save us some headache. I see an onion bulb there that had ended up on the surface. So this was not the garlic bed. This one is just a short bed. So there's some garlic in here, of course, but there was probably onion planted here since I saw that bulb. And I see some brassicas that are breaking leaf right there, sprouting. And then it looks like we got some mallow over there, growing as a weed. Mallow is one of the weeds that I tend to just let grow in the garden, and I'll cut it every so often and sell it. And let's see, this is our garlic bed. Did not do as well over, sorry about the hand, did not do as well over the winter as I had hoped. I may have to consider like leaving plastic mulch on over the winter or something. I don't really like that idea because of the wind potentially blowing plastic around. But this soil, like, we've top dressed it since then, but it was really dry, almost sandy. It got beat up pretty good, and then a lot of the garlic didn't make it. You can kind of see it's pretty sparse. Okay, we've got a lot of spots where the garlic just didn't come back up. And I had 3 rows of garlic like every 9 inches in here. So a little bit of a failure there. We'll have to live and learn on that and see if we can improve when we plant garlic this fall. But here's a big old cluster growing right in the middle of the pathway again. Some of this stuff is just looking great. Pretty happy with it. Looks like Rose top dressed this for me, so we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with this bed. This is one of the beds that's a little wider on this end, so I ended up having to do a weird dog leg in here, but we made it work. And then looks like I got that one finished as well. Last day's off, so we've got irrigation for that bed. I probably would like to build one more line for that last bed too, and then the next bed that we're working on this year that has the air box in it, I probably won't build an irrigation line for that. We'll probably just work on getting soil onto that bed and letting it slowly transition into a garden space this year. No huge hurry with some of this, you know. It's kind of the nice thing about the no-till approach. I'm not speeding, working my way through tilling everything up. Just lay some compost down, let things do its thing, and work with it as it develops into a healthy soil system. Here's another elm seedling that we got. This one is looking like it's got some pretty good leaves on it. I like that. Good leaf stem ratio. See, it's got some roots exposed, so we must have lost some soil on this bed over the winter. I'm going to pull this grass out of the way. Look at that. Oh, yeah. That's a good rhizome on that one. Anyway, sagebrush. Some of that stuff, sagebrush, yucca. I'm not sure if I do it with yucca, probably. But it's perennial. It was here when we put the garden here, so if it survives, I just let it keep going. That's going to continue to feed carbohydrates and sugars into the soil over the winter when we're not able to grow anything, and just gives some root diversity basically for the soil microbiome. Plus, I really love the smell of sage, so I just let it do its thing. Oh look, a dandelion. Must be the first one of the season. So we got some dandelions up here, starting to flower. It's one of the only areas on the property where we get dandelions. A lot of the property, like, I think it's just too dry and windy, and they just can't quite handle it. But they got a little bit of shelter over here. Mustard growing pretty good. Near the end of its flowering stage. It won't be too long before the mustard's all done. Wild mustard. I'm not sure if we'll do much with this garden area this year. It's been kind of neglected for a year or two, and I've just been kind of letting it grow rampant, to be honest with you, and let whatever comes up come up, and we'll just let it kind of do its thing and be a little wild area for a while. Might do some more stuff with it later, possibly. Here's our compost pile for the year, so you can see we've got quite a bit of compost to use still. It gives us lots of options for stuff to plant. I'd say we probably have about 1.5 yards, maybe 2.5 yards at most, still available. Did all right over the winter. In the center here, it looks like it held on to some moisture. Pretty happy with that. Anything we can do to keep it moist so it's not running out of water. It's not really wet, though. It's just not dry, basically. Just barely above not dry. But still holding on to water. So, yeah, that'll be good to use. I've got to get this area cleaned up still. I've got quite a bit of mess going on right here, as you can see. And then we've made some more progress. Last days off, pulling out fencing. I'll have to walk down here a little bit. I've got a little bit of a wind erosion problem right here, and I think I'll probably just dump some wood chips here and let the pile spread a little bit to try to mitigate that. Part of the problem is it's a high wind area. This is probably the windiest spot on the whole property, especially before we put the hoop house here. And oftentimes I'd park my truck down here if I was doing something down in the field. And so I think underneath the truck created a little bit of wind tunnel and just scooped a lot of the sand out of here. But we'll get it filled in and stop that from getting any worse before too long. Grass is starting to green up, so that's good. Another junk pile we still have yet to pick up. Might get to that this summer, hopefully. I'd like to. Alright, so basically there was one wire left on this fence, the top wire. I got that pulled down, so I don't have to duck to go under it anymore. That's out of the way, essentially. And then there was a wire coming off of this fence down here that was loose and laying around up here. It used to be the wire running from where I'm at to down there, essentially. I got that wrapped up, so that's out of the way now. And shouldn't have to worry about that for the rest of the year. This fence line was my biggest project that I had yet to do, and it was mostly because of this chain link. So I got the chain link pulled down, it's off of there and ready to be used elsewhere. I'm going to use that as part of my chicken fencing. Like I said, it was a little too heavy for the little IRET to handle, so I'll have to use the truck or do something different to pull that up there, but I'll get that pulled up and used up near the hoop house there. And then you see I've got 3 strands of smooth wire to pull yet, and a little bit of some this looks like welded wire. It doesn't look like woven. So some welded wire to pull as well, and then I can get this area kind of cleaned up and all the fence posts out of the way. As soon as that's done, I've only got just a few wires left on some of these far fences, and they're not actually up, they're down on the ground, so I just got to get them rolled up basically so they're out of the way. And I guess before we're all done here, obviously another little mess of wire I've got to pick up here. And then our stand for the bees. So I think I'll have to put some 2x4s or something on this, and bring this stand out a little ways so that it's more stable over here on the far side, right? And then I'm only planning to have 2 hives here. I've got the one Lands hive, and then the hive that's currently down the hill, and is a typical Langstroth will go here as well. And then this will be where we keep our 2 bees that are out here, or 2 hives anyway, and they're on property. They're far enough away, they're not too big of a headache for us, but they're close enough that we don't have to go anywhere. And that'll let us continue to try to figure out keeping bees out here, because it's not really the best place for bees. We don't have the best luck out here, but that will give us some options. It's up off the ground enough that they should get some good airflow underneath of them, hopefully help keep them cool through the summer, and then it'll be a little easier to work on. Unless we get a bunch of supers on them, then it could be a pain. We'll just get a stool at that point. That'd be a good problem to have. So yeah, this field, or this hill, was in really rough shape when we got the place. You can see the remnants of a lot of the tumbleweed growing, and when that was coming up, that was a blessing just to have the tumbleweed, because it was something, you know. I mean, we had so little growth up here. anything is an improvement. So what I'm seeing for the recovery cycle out here, you know, we have all this bare sand that was just destroyed, and the tumbleweed is pretty much the first thing to move in. We get some tumbleweed and some wild mustard, tansy mustard that'll move in. And then after that grows, wherever it sticks around long enough in the winter, we'll get some cheatgrass that'll come up. So then we got cheatgrass growing. That'll do its thing for a while. And after the cheatgrass grows established, is just enough of a sod that we're able to see some other species come up. So this is not cheatgrass. Oh, this one might be actually right in here. But there is some blue grama that we get that'll come up through this. I'm pretty sure that's what some of this over here is blue grama. And man, my throat's getting dry. And then some crested wheat will start popping up in here a little bit, and that'll start us towards the recovery process. As we get to where I'm seeing more grass species and less weeds, then I feel more comfortable using this as paddocks or pasture for the pasture-raised duck operation. And then we can start moving this into a more productive direction, basically. I might even have trees up before it gets to that point, but we'll see how it goes over the next couple of years. And then, yeah, a little bit more pickup to do. One thing, just a positive note to end on, I guess, before I quit rambling for 30 minutes. These little areas where there's trash that hasn't been picked up, even though, you know, to us people, it looks bad. It's, you know, it looks like we're lazy and didn't do anything. I just wanted to take a minute to observe, you know, part of the permaculture principle of observation and interaction with the landscape. You see that there's a bunch of tumbleweeds getting caught up, right? So all this trash is acting as a collection point for organic matter and for seeds, and it's providing a little bit of shelter and habitat for small critters. So I don't know without digging in there, but I'm sure that there's probably mice that find shelter in here. There may be some other small critters that are finding shelter here occasionally. Maybe a bird here and there might be perching, you know, on this wire or hanging out in this area because they feel a little more protected. There's going to be, because of the accumulation of organic matter, there was whatever snow we got, I can guarantee we caught a little bit more right here. And then there's a touch of shade, just a little bit of shade that's created from all this stuff. And, you know, it's not shade for us people or anybody tall, but it's enough shade for the soil that there's some mitigation of evaporation, right? So you can see that there's just a little bit greener grass right in this area. So these little bits of trash that get left, they're giving us a place for soil to get established. There's a good thatch layer there. You got almost 2 inches of thatch before you hit the soil. So for this area that was so destroyed by horses that it was just bare sand, it is now starting to see some, you know, early signs of recovery, and this little bit of trash from getting left here is helping to speed that up in this tiny little spot. So anyway, not that that's a huge excuse for, you know, not picking up trash or anything like that, but one of the little positive aspects of what we're seeing is that if you do something to stop the wind and provide a tiny bit of shade, then you can help accelerate growth and give yourself just a little leg up on the harsh climate that we have out here, basically. So anyway, with that, thanks for listening to me ramble for over 30 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, enjoy the sound of the birds chirping, and go drink some more coffee. Thanks for watching.